Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. How's Eddie Frederick?
So glad you can join us. Happy Artform Artist Blaxx of Trinidad and Tobago Soca fame has died, and tributes pour in from national leaders. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Wednesday, 30th March 2022. Details when we return.
Hubbard's Multi-Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. Tributes from national leaders and soca superstars following news of the passing on Monday of soca icon Dexter Blaxx Stewart. The Prime Minister says he will be sorely missed. TV6's Jewel Brown reports.
On his Facebook page and that of the Office of the Prime Minister, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley offered condolences on the passing of Dexter Blaxx Stewart on Monday. Prime Minister Rowley said Blaxx, as he was best known to his fans, the soca community and the public at large, has been a regular talented exponent of the happy musical culture of Trinidad and Tobago. Prime Minister Rowley also said of Blaxx that his contributions were eagerly awaited each year and appreciated by hordes of adoring fans. Dr. Rowley said Blaxx will be sorely missed. Blaxx died on Monday after being under critical care in the intensive care unit of the Arima Hospital. The Express had reported that he had been warded at the facility last week after contracting COVID-19. Prior to his hospitalization, Blaxx was featured in public service announcements encouraging people to get vaccinated against COVID-19. The Express also reported that the I Feel Like Hulk singer spent several weeks in hospital in October of 2020 after complaining of difficulty breathing, and that subsequent medical examinations revealed he also had potential serious kidney issues. On Sunday, Opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar had posted on her Facebook page that her thoughts and prayers went out to Blaxx as he battled COVID-19. In response to a question from TV6 News on Monday, the opposition leader said she was deeply saddened to learn that soca artist Blaxx had passed away. Mrs. Persad-Bissessar said Blaxx was a true icon of soca music who brought joy to thousands of people, and that she joins the nation in mourning this beloved entertainer and ambassador of our culture. The opposition leader said her prayers are with his family and loved ones during this difficult time.
In the meantime, all schools in Trinidad and Tobago reopen on Tuesday, April 19th.
And based on the advice from the officials of the Ministry of Health, the government of Trinidad and Tobago has taken the decision to fully reopen all schools at the ECCE, primary, secondary and tertiary levels from April 19th, 2022.
Confirmation from Education Minister Dr. Nian Gadsby-Dolly that students who were engaged in online learning will return to the physical classrooms for the first time in 2 years. Chief Education Officer Mrs. Lisa Henry David said COVID-19 management in schools will continue to be monitored by the staff of the Education District Health Unit. She said staff, students, and those who visit the school must adhere to the following rules.
Mandatory wearing of masks, the exception being our early childhood care and education students. 2, temperature check at entry points. 3, hand washing at stations at schools' entrances, as well as at strategic points throughout the school's compound. And 4, the use of hand sanitizers.
Students will be required to attend school every day, as no rotational schedules will be operated. Director of School Supervision, Mrs. Joy Griffith, said subject and class tabling will revert to normal pre-COVID hours for primary and secondary school students. She also confirmed that whole school assembly and breaks will be allowed and provided an update on the ministry's stance to school uniforms.
In other news, Immigration and Passport Amendment Bill passed to regularize illegals within an amnesty period in Antigua and Barbuda. Jessica Russell of ABS News reports.
I've heard it on the radio, this is just an election ploy, it's an election gimmick, but whether it is or not, for persons who are illegal, for persons who are under this veil of uncertainty, they have an opportunity to regularize.
Government Senator Maureen Hyman piloted the Immigration and Passport Amendment Bill, indicating what is at issue is not the basis for the legislation, but what it allows for. The bill creates the legal framework for those currently residing in the country illegally to regularize their status within a certain period.
It is from the 1st of March to the 30th of April. So it's not a situation that we're saying whenever you feel like it, you can come and be regularized. There is a limit.
Those who don't take advantage of the opportunity will risk deportation. However, Opposition Senator Richard Lewis says frequent amendments to the Act are indicative of a greater problem. He says steps need to be taken to address underlying issues facing immigrants.
Let's look at lowering the fees for extension and so on, making the application. And that would help us to reduce the number of illegal immigrants in Antigua and Barbuda. As I said, I don't think individuals want to be legal in the country.
The bill was passed without amendment. Jessica Russell, ABS News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
The island's lone power company, the St. Lucia Electricity Services Limited (LUCELEC), announced last Friday that the increase in the monthly electricity bill is due to an increase in the fuel surcharge. Prime Minister Philip J. Pear, meanwhile, has announced social support for the vulnerable to help with the rising cost of living. Zane Romulus of the DBS News World reports.
The St. Lucia Electricity Services Limited (LUCELEC) has announced an increase in the fuel surcharge for electricity bills. The announcement, which came on Friday from the company's managing director Trevor Louisi, was expected in the wake of the increase in gas prices on Monday last week. According to the company, its fuel price hedging program and renewable energy efforts to date is not enough to buffer the oil prices that have almost doubled since the start of the Russia-Ukraine conflict.
This current fuel crisis is a very difficult situation for everyone and is caused by external factors over which LUCELEC has no control. Through our hedging program, we are able to lock in the price we pay for some of our fuel. This means that what we pay for a percentage hedge remains the same despite the price of oil on the world market. The balance of the fuel purchased is determined by the current market price. As a result, when there are significant changes in the price of oil, as is occurring right now because of the continued unrest in Ukraine, it will affect what customers pay for electricity on a month-to-month basis. The price LUCELEC pays for fuel is factored into customer bills through the fuel surcharge or the fuel cost adjustment that is applied to the units of electricity customers use every month. It is added to the basic energy rates applied to each unit of electricity we sell.
Members of the public have been reacting to the announcement of the increased cost of their electricity bills.
I don't know why them people do that. After things so hard like that, they raising current and people, why are we taking the money for we to pay the current?
I find that LUCELEC should not raise prices because they've been raising it so many times. It's like every time there's an increase, they pass it on to customers. Okay, so right now they should just take the fall. Fall out. Yes, and give customers a break. We deserve it.
We cannot even pay our bills as they are now. They are so hard. Things are so hard. When you go to the store, we cannot even afford it to pay LUCELEC. LUCELEC is one of the companies that make the most money already. After all, give and take by people. That's too much for the poor people of St. Lucia.
We're in a crisis, serious crisis in the country. If the government negotiate with LUCELEC and said, look, LUCELEC, bring down the price. We will give you concession. LUCELEC is a big entity and always getting concession from the government. Now, is our time to get concession from the government.
At a March 17th press conference, the opposition UWP had recommended 6 measures to the PA administration to ease the burden of the rising cost of living on citizens. Included in the measures was 1, to maintain fuel at the previous $13.95 price.
We've seen in electricity prices how much it's gone up in the households, and it will continue to go up because you remember our electricity cost is the actual cost plus an energy surcharge. And that energy surcharge is increasing on a monthly basis.
The PA administration has since rejected these recommendations, calling them disingenuous. Speaking to the members of the press prior to Monday's cabinet meeting, the Prime Minister indicated that his administration in the upcoming budget will be allocating funds to provide support to the island's vulnerable through the SSDF. He also highlighted the need for greater investment in renewable energy sources to counter the volatile price of oil and its resulting impact on other costs like electricity.
The government cannot tell Lucilla what is the pricing structure. What you must do, you must look at alternative means of energy. And that's what's important. This is where the thought comes through. And the Ministry of Infrastructure tells me that there's going to be a review of the Electricity Supply Act, which will make renewable energy easier to access. That's the answer. In terms of the increase the price of fuel, it's laughable because that idea is good for the rubbish dump.
Lucilec's managing director, meanwhile, has advised its customers to use energy wisely.
Given the uncertainty about the duration of this crisis, everyone should take control of their energy usage and avoid waste. Every kilowatt hour counts. Customers can monitor their monthly electricity usage through the Lucilec My Account service at myaccount.lucilec.com.
Lucilec will in the coming days also unveil an energy efficiency campaign on radio, television, and its social media platforms to provide practical tips to advise customers on how to manage their electricity use. For the DBS News World, I am Zain Romulus.
The Guyana Police Force is in transition as the search is on for a new and substantive commissioner. Gordon Mosley of News Source Guyana has this interesting story.
In a very short statement today, the Guyana Police Force announced that Acting Police Commissioner Nigel Harpy has proceeded on pre-retirement leave. And Assistant Commissioner of Police Clifton Hicken, who has been performing the functions of Deputy Commissioner, will now be performing the functions of Police Commissioner. The move to appoint Hicken to perform the functions of Police Commissioner has resulted in substantive Deputy Commissioner Paul Williams being overlooked, although with Harpy heading off on pre-retirement leave. Williams is the most senior officer in the Guyana Police Force. In February 2021, Deputy Commissioner Williams was posted to the Civil Defense Commission as a security advisor there. The Guyana Police Force would not comment on the details surrounding the appointment of Hicken, and President Irfan Ali, who 3 weeks ago assured that the Constitution will be followed in the appointment of the Police Commissioner, has also gone silent on the issue. The Constitution of Guyana states that the President appoints a Commissioner of Police following consultations with the opposition leader and the Police Service Commission. There is no Police Service Commission in place, and the new leader of the opposition is still to be appointed. There has been no appointment of a substantive police commissioner, but questions are being raised about the appointment of Mr. Hicken to act in the position. Former chairman of the Police Service Commission, Paul Slow, has explained that the same requirements apply to the appointment of an acting police commissioner. He has also noted that with a substantive deputy commissioner in place, it would be strange and a possible affront to the public service rules for a lower rank to be appointed to the head of the force in front of the person who was holding a substantive deputy position. Under the former APNU AFC government, Assistant Commissioner Hicken was among several assistant commissioners interviewed for the Commissioner of Police and Deputy Commissioner of Police positions. At the end of the interviews and following consultations with the then opposition leader, a police commissioner and 4 deputies were appointed. Hicken was not among the deputies appointed. However, following the retirement of 2 of the deputies last year, he started to perform the functions of Deputy Commissioner of Police for Operations.
Hubbard's Multi-Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.